Hey guys, it's your girl Carolyn, and I am stopping by to follow up to the video that I made where I was talking about how I listened to certain videos by Kevin Samuels, and some of them were a little hard on the ladies, but I wanted to share my story. I've been married for 32 plus years, and I was telling you guys how I was raised where I was told that, men are all dogs and they're no good. I grew up in a single parent home. My father was just MIA, and it was for the best. Believe me, that's another story we can talk about later. But in the last video that I did, I talked about how I became very intentional and what led to me and possibly you as well. Unlike Kevin Samuels, I don't think that there's an age limit on finding your Mr. Right. So let's just get that out there. And I don't believe that, you have an expiration date. You may not be in your prime, because at 58, I realize I'm not in my prime with my little arthritic knee as well as the arthritic big toe, but I'm doing the best that I can to maintain what I have. And that's one thing that we all have to do. But what I wanted to say is the first thing that I did, believe it or not, at 19, I became very intentional about my dating, and that it wasn't going to be in vain or a waste of time. I wanted to only date people that were marriage material, because I had seen, my fair share of people who were trying to use you, trying to sleep with you, waste the best years of your life. And I'm going to share something I've never shared for a large audience before. I was very, very inspired by the movies from the 60s where white women were talking about how they were looking for their husbands in college. And so that was such a novel thought to me. I said, hey, I should be looking for my husband in college. So when I went to Clemson University in 1984, I was looking for the MRS degree as well as my BS degree. And so I was very disappointed at first, because most of the guys were looking for Apollonia. They were looking for vanity. They weren't looking for a brownie like me. And so I'm happy to be a brownie. I love, to see people with all different types of skin color. And I hate it when people want to put you in a box or say you're cute, for a brownie or for someone who's brown skin. I think everybody's beautiful in their own way. And my husband is what my mother calls high yellow. And so I'm not even mad at my high yellow sisters or my sisters-in-law because our skin is beautiful. I think my skin is beautiful, and I think their skin is beautiful. I'm very comfortable in my skin, and I think that's one thing women definitely need to do. If you want to find your Mr. Right, you got to be comfortable in your skin. You got to be intentional about dating. And one of the things that helped me to become intentional about dating is what I'm going to share before I get back to work and before my husband gets home and I start making dinner and stuff, is I wrote a letter to God. When I was 19 during the summer, I decided that I was going to get myself ready. And I think that that's one thing that Kevin Samuels was trying to touch on, that women just act like Mr. Right is just going to come and they don't have to do any work on themselves. You're in a competition out here. There are women of all ethnic groups, especially if you're looking for a black man. He just has his wide range of options, because as my youngest son told me when he was at the University of New Hampshire, that black men were in, and a lot of women of different cultures were trying to date them. And so regardless of what type of man you're trying to date, you need to realize that you're competing against other women who want, as Kevin Samuels called it, a high value man. But I just say a good man, because he doesn't have to make a certain amount of money, because just because he makes a certain amount of money when you meet him does not mean that that's all he's ever going to make. So what I wound up doing that summer of when I was 19, I decided that I wanted to, change my style of dressing, make it a lot younger. If I showed you a picture of how I looked then, you would say, okay, we see why. And my mom said, I see, if I had legs like yours, I would wear mini skirts. And so I started showing my legs more, because it's my best asset, because the Lord didn't bless me with literal assets, and he didn't give me, big boobs or anything. everything. So you have to focus on the positive. So I started wearing mini skirts and heels, and I started, teasing my hair, wearing it full and out, kind of like Oprah, instead of the kind of older styles that I was wearing. And also, I bought myself contacts with the money for my internship because I wore little grandma glasses. So I was just blending right into the woodwork at Clemson. So I did a little makeover. I wanted to lose 15 pounds, but I wasn't able to at that time. Later on, after I had the man, I wound up being able to lose that. If anybody wants to know how your girl lost 15 pounds without actually dieting and without anything radical or crazy or unhealthy, we can talk about that later. But I did everything that I could to improve myself that summer before I went back to college, and was hoping to meet the guy of my dreams. But before I did that, I also wrote a letter to God. I'm like, look, God, I haven't heard good things about these men, but based on what I've seen on television and read in Harlequin romance, maybe you can hook a sister up with with my dream come true man. So anyway, so I sat down, I got my diary out, and I wrote out what I was looking for. And so I wrote down the deal breaker things. Not that he had to have a nice car, not that he needed to make six figures, not that he needed to be 6 feet, and like muscular and all this stuff. I wrote down the things that were important to me. The things that were important to me, and I'll tell you the goofy one after this, was that, he needed to be loyal, he needed to be honest, affectionate, like where he'd want to hold hands, like I saw people doing on TV. I didn't see people doing that in real life, not in the projects of Augusta, Georgia, where I was. But I was like, if I can see it on television, why can't, my husband hold my hand, or my future husband? And so I wanted him to be affectionate. I wanted him to be willing to go to church with me. And then I wanted him to be attractive to me, not necessarily that he looked like Denzel or that he looked, like any particular person. And I have to say, he didn't have to be black, because I just said, with all of these different people in the world, I just don't know if I agree that the Lord intends for your Mr. Right to always be of the same ethnic group. That's just my thought. Because why would he make us, all so different and just assume that we'd wind up with the same people? And also, why are interracial babies so beautiful? If we weren't intended to, some of us, be together. So I said he had to be attractive to me. I wanted him to be my height with heels. So with me being like 5'7", a husband at 5'10" or 5'11" was not a bad deal for me. So that was what I said. And then, but the only superficial thing that I picked was I have muscular calves. And in the South, they say, oh, Callan got big legs. And I'm just like, stop saying that. And so that made me say, look, Lord, I can't deal with a man with skinny legs. That's a deal breaker. Not because they would be unattractive or anything, but you can't stand next to me with your skinny legs. And then people say, Callan, and that's what they call me in the South, not Carolyn, but Callan, Callan, aren't your husband's legs skinnier than yours? I would have been mortified, and I just could not deal with that. So I said, his calves have to at least be the same size as mine or bigger, but not smaller. So when we look together, we don't look like the odd couple. So that was the one that I had that was that was kind of superficial, but everything else was like things that really were important to me: loyalty, honesty, affectionate, going to church. Those are things that I put down in my letter. And and I just wrote that, and I just said, Lord, please hook a sister up, help me out. And then it's so funny, I went back to school that fall, and this is something ladies also need to do. Don't travel in packs. I wanted to go to this toga party that the Qs were having on campus, and none of my friends wanted to go. So you know what your girl did? I put on my little mini skirt, and I put on my heels, and I teased my hair out like Oprah might have done in the 80s. And then I said, I'm going to go to that party myself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to like ask people to dance when my song comes on. And then it's just like no strings attached. I'm going to go and have a good time. And I did that for probably about 3 times. And I had to walk all the way across campus by myself at night, and I get to the party and I'm asking people, and this was my little script. Hey, that's my song, would you like to dance? And then the guy would say yes. We'd finish dancing, I'd go my way, he'd go his way, not trying to tie anybody down, because most of the lame people at Clemson, they wanted to go to the party by themselves with their frat, with their friends. They didn't want to be locked down or tied down with you, so they could keep their options open. So that's what I did. I said, I'm going to dance and just have a good time. And then probably by the 3rd time I did that, I was walking and I looked back, and then I see this guy and he had green eyes. And I said, oh my goodness, you have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. Would you like to dance? And in October, it'll be 33 years that I've been married to that man. That's how I met him. Those are the steps that led up to it. Now, your girl has to get back to work. I'll pick up the story where I left off in the next video. Let me know if you have any questions though. That's a good story. The Lord hooked a sister up, right? Not that it didn't have bumps and turns, but that is the start of my happily ever after. Look forward to sharing the rest with you guys later, and hopefully that helps somebody out there. It's not hopeless, and you can find your Mr. Right too. Just here to encourage you on that. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.